Hey there, it's Tony and Chris. I'm Tony. Chris right here.
Hi there.
We're going to have to try to control Chris in this situation.
Oh, yeah.
He's a major fanboy. Excited about new music coming out from Chris Stapleton. The album is Traveler, as well as the single. And, dude, man, it's great to meet you. Glad to have you.
Man, thank you so much for taking the time.
And not just to start blowing sunshine up your skirt as we start this thing, but do you realize just how many people in town love you that are artists? Like, they bring your name comes up and they're like, oh, man.
Well, I'm real fortunate to get to work with a lot of great folks, and they're all very kind to me.
Because it is such a competitive business, as you know, and when you have people who are, because you've been a songwriter for so long and have written so many big hits, they love you then, of course, but now it's like, well, wait a minute, now this guy who's writing these songs for us, he's writing them for himself. You'd think they'd be nervous and a little bit worried, but they're very supportive. They love what you're doing.
And I appreciate that, but they also all know that I'll still give them songs. I'm always going to be a songwriter, I'm always going to be writing songs, and I don't ever really have this kind of, I don't hoard songs in any way. I think songs have a home, whether it's with me or with somebody else, and every song that I write wasn't meant for me to do. So,
how do you make that decision? Like, is that just it? Is just it's a feel like this would be great for somebody else? Or?
I get that conversation quite a bit, and it's really just a feel thing. You just kind of feel it out, and I'm certainly, if somebody wants to give you the compliment of thinking about recording a song, you always have to consider it. And I don't think I've ever told somebody they couldn't, because to me, if somebody wants to record a song of yours, that's great. It doesn't prevent me from doing it.
Oh, what a great way to look at that.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I long for the days when the return to, like, if a song, people really like a song, like there were 6 versions of it. I love that, and the different takes. And that was where artistry lived to me, is when people interpreted songs 6 different ways, and it was gorgeous to hear. And you'd be like, hey, man, listen to this version.
Yeah. It's always fun to, like, find those versions. It was always like, man, I can't believe this version even exists.
Right. And it's a great thing. And I hope we can return to that at some point.
I would love that, because I'm always bugging artists, telling them, like, you know what you need to cover is this song, and they'll go like, that's been done. George Jones did it. I'm not doing that. And I'm like,
and I guess, do you feel like, are there some songs you just shouldn't touch?
Of mine?
And anybody's.
Anybody's? It's hard to cover Aretha. It's hard to cover Ray Charles. It's hard to cover Marvin Gaye. It's hard to cover Willie Nelson and some of these guys, and Waylon, and there's some of these things that kind of exist and they're part of the songbook, but you can still sing them. I don't know, and those are just people that I really have a bunch of reverence for, and it would be hard for me to jump in there and do that. But to me, I always like covers that really change something up, and if you can do something, like if you could take one of those people's songs and do them in a way that was somehow yours and new, then it would be okay. But if you try to, like, out Aretha, you're going to fail miserably and look like a fool doing it. Yeah. So that's my only fear with a lot of those kind of folks,
Chris Stapleton, our in-studio guest. When we come back in a few minutes, we'll get a little bit of the history of how this guy got to Nashville. Also, who would he like to see sing one of his songs? It's Tony and Chris.